Hi folks, my name is Adam and I like to make tiny nerdy things, and this is Carl, and he's probably my favorite tiny nerdy thing I've ever made. You see, the beauty of Carl, apart from his ample girth, is that he can be anything he wants. A chivalrous medieval knight, or a current-day vest-touting cowboy, or a dashing laser-touting spaceman. But what Carl really needs are some bad guys to fight, and what better bad guy than a zombie? Of course, if I'm making a zombie, then it needs to be a Lego zombie, which means I've got proportions that I need to stick to. And to help with that, this basic little blue Lego boy is going to be my body double. This is 2-part silicone putty that I'm going to use to cast my blue Lego body so that I can make a perfectly fine clay body in place of the plastic one. This stuff mixes equal parts A and part B to form a sculptable silicone putty that I can use to create a little purple blob into which I can squish my headless, armless Lego body. After about 30 minutes of no touchy-touchy, I can come back to a fully cured silicone form. I can then pop the body double out of the form and fill it with a blob of gray clay, cutting away any of the excess. Then it's just a case of gently popping the Lego man out of the form and admiring what's a pretty excellent little body that I can begin building my zombie on top of. All I need to do then is remove the flashing and any leftover clay, and I've got a terrific little Lego torso. I'll then use the mold to create 2 more little clay Lego torsos, since I want Carl to have a trio of potential baddies depending on what timeline he finds himself in. Otherwise, it's time to start zombifying these bodies. I'll start by taking the legs of my first zombie and twisting them inwards to give him that ever-important zombie gait before cleaning up the legs a bit and adding his leg orifices to the backside before poking some pockmarks all willy-nilly around the bottom half. Now this little guy is going to be my medieval knight, and I like my knights in big suits of armor, but I need to make the chainmail undershirt first, which I'll do by smooshing a little lump of clay extra flat and adding some chainmail texture provided by the knurling on my sculpting tool. I then folded the bottom half to make it look ragged and worn before draping it across the top of the legs, as well as adding some bits beneath the arms where the breastplate won't cover. Now, before I can make the breastplate, I need to make some arms, and before I make arms, I need some weapons. I've rolled a little lump of clay to about the thickness of a Lego shield, and using a bendy clay cutter, I'll cut a shield-shaped teardrop out before cutting a tiny rectangle out so that I can shape it into an eyeball-safe rounded sword. I'll then roll a little lump into a little sausage and texture it into a tiny handle, then make a tiny hilt to protect my tiny hands. A little cautious knife work will sharpen the blade, and some teeny tiny poking with a ball stylus will tarnish the blade and add plenty of pitting and rust. I'll then do the same thing to the shield before adding a tiny handle onto the back. Then it's into the oven to bake, so I have myself a scale and design-appropriate sword and board ready for some arms. The arm starts as a little sausage with a rounded claw cut into the tip that can be pressed in place gripping the sword. I'll then refine the shape a bit, do the same thing to the shield arm, and attach my well-armed arms to the torso. Then each upper arm will get a chain link sleeve and a quick repositioning so it looks like the zombie is dragging the sword and shield behind it as it lumbers forward. To make the breastplate, I'll drop a thick sheet of clay over the top half of the torso before cutting it to roughly the size and shape I want. Then it's just a case of tickling and tapping and poking and prodding until I've turned this flat gray apron into a sturdy knightly suit of armor. I'll then add a couple pauldrons to each shoulder before beginning the enrustining process. Like the sword and shield, I want this armor pitted and battered and beaten, so I'll add lots of damage and battle scars, as well as a trio of arrows stuck into the Lego man's back. Otherwise, up until this point, there's no way to tell that this zombie is a zombie and not just a really tired dude wearing a suit of well-worn armor, so I need to make him a helmet that's got the face exposed. To make my helmet hollow, I found a clay circle cutter that fits perfectly over a minifig head, which I'll wrap in a thin strip of clay and remove the rectangular faceport. I'll add a bit more pitting and damage, then stick this hatless helmet onto another sheet of clay and use a slightly larger cutter to give me a slightly oversized brim. Then once the helmet's been baked, I can add another blob to the top of that and shape it into my favorite Lego helmet. Whatever this is called. I'll then poke a big hole into the top of the helmet and add lots of dents and pitting before baking it once more to lock the shape in place. Finally, to fit my face in place, I'll smoosh a little ball of clay into the hollow helmet and smooth it out to create that soft, supple minifig face. I'll then poke some eye holes and a nose hole before cutting away the cheeks and adding some teeth to reveal the ghastly skeletal face beneath. This skull in a helmet can then be stuck onto the body, and that's the first of the 3 finished, which means it's time to travel forward to the present day and make my second zombie. One of the 3 bodies is a wonky leg, so I'll take this opportunity to cut it off and replace it with a torn pant leg. The foot I'll then smooth out so it's just the foot before sticking a little bone into the center and reattaching it to the body. I'll then work my way around the bottom half of the torso, adding rips and tears in back of the leg sphincters before cleaning up the foot by adding that Carl Cannon single toenail. For the upper body, I'll make a little V-neck before carving out a substantial portion of the chest into which I can stick some exposed ribs. These are just little strips of armature wire I flattened with some pliers. Otherwise, a couple more rips and tears and open wounds before moving on to making the arms. Because this guy isn't going to be wearing gloves, I need to make his hands separately so I can make sure they're shaped appropriately. And while making Carl, I realized that a Lego hand fits perfectly around a kebab skewer, so I made a couple little hands out of clay wrapped around the skewer before baking them and attaching them to some arms. These arms can then be attached to the torso and positioned in an appropriately zombie-esque pose. I'll leave the right arm as it is, but cut away the majority of the sleeve on the left arm, exposing the gnarly flesh beneath. Now with my arms attached, I can add his construction worker vest, which I made in 2 parts and attached while on the model. Then using some tweezers, I can pull it apart so it looks ragged and torn. To make his head, I'll wrap a little length of armature wire in a lump of clay and stick this into another mold that I made off camera. I made this one using a minifig head, which should leave me with a perfectly sized gray clay dome that I can then stick onto my zombie body. I'll then poke some eye holes and carve out a great big angry zombie mouth before dropping some pre-baked eye beans into the sockets and refining that sallow sunken cheek look and not quite fully alive facial features. And of course, since he won't be wearing a hat, I'll make sure to add his head sphincter. Otherwise, I can press some teeth into his mouth and add a tongue before poking some final pockmarks and sores around his head to finish him off, which means that's 2 down and 1 to go. Now, since the last Lego man is going to be the spacefaring kind, I figured what's more recognizable than that OG spacesuit with the little oxygen tank backpack. So once I've got the pose sorted out, I'll start to bulk up the body so it's a little less form-fitting bodysuit and a bit more like an actual bulky spacesuit. The right hand I made in the same way as the construction worker, but without the fingernails, and the left hand I didn't make at all. Instead, I'll poke a little hole in the sleeve so I can add an exposed toothpick bone sticking out. I'll then add a little belt around the waist and begin the enwrinkling process, adding lots of wrinkles and folds to the legs and torso before adding some access ports for his leg sphincters. For the upper half, I'll add a little control module to the chest and the iconic oxygen tanks to his back, as well as some little tubes running back and forth. I made his helmet the same way as I made the Knight's helmet, but without the wide brim, and in keeping with that OG spaceman aesthetic, I made sure to snap the chin strap off. Then I filled the helmet with some clay and sculpted the face, but to make it a little bit different than the construction worker, I removed his bottom jaw entirely so that he's just got a tongue hanging down beneath a set of upper teeth. Otherwise, I can smoosh the head onto the body, and that's my space zombie finished, which means that's now 3 for 3 finished. All that's left to do then is give these guys a bit of color. Of course, at this point I got overexcited and forgot to press record, so I managed to paint all of the metal bits of the knight before realizing that none of that was on camera. And as you can see, you didn't really miss much. I painted the metal parts metal and the bone parts bone. I also painted the arms and legs black since that's the Black Falcon color scheme, but there's a distinct lack of color in this scheme, so I'll repaint his arms and legs blue. Then some lighter blues as a lighter blue highlight and even lighter light blues as a lighter blue edge highlight to highlight the edges. I'll then paint his breastplate and helmet with a darker metallic so it stands out against the silver of the chainmail before dirtying it up a tiny bit with a brown wash, which should help it look like a tarnished iron. I'll then do the same to the sword and the shield before giving the silver a blackish wash, then adding just a whole bunch of rust to everything, since rust is the tits. The shield was a bit bare looking, so I'll take a moment to divide the 2 halves in half with black and white, then haphazardly freehand the Black Falcon logo onto the shield. If it looks terrible, that's fine, since I'll use the metal stippled over the surface to make it look like the heraldry has started to fade away before rusting it up even more. Finally, I'll make the skull a tiny bit more minifig-esque by mixing in some yellows and off-white highlights, then I can add some dirty stains around the legs before giving all the metal bits a final dry brushing with silver to really make those edges stand out. But with that, the zombie knight is done and I can get to work constructing the construction worker. Or rather, I can start painting him, but that doesn't have the same verbal flow. I'll give all the fleshy bits a nice minifig flesh tone before giving the undershirt a couple coats of blue and the pants and vest a nice workplace orange. Once I've got the base tones and place tones, I can give the vest some high-vis seams and a bright silver before coating all the clothing in a thin layer of watery brown wash to tone the vibrancy down a notch or two. His skin was also looking a little too healthy, so I've mixed up a super watery green wash that I'll apply over all the yellowy bits before painting the ribs and exposed bone white, and following that up by giving the eyes a grey to white gradient. I'll then give them a rimming in red before roaming around the body, adding little splashes of red to anywhere that I think he might have splattered a bit of gore onto himself. Finally, to finish off, I'll paint his teeth with a couple coats of bone white, and it's on to the last but not least of my zombies. I'll give his face that same yellow base with a green wash that the construction worker got before painting his entire outfit red. Red was, of course, a poor choice since any of the blood will blend right in, but I didn't want to paint him yellow or blue, and I completely forgot that white is an option. His little control panel got painted silver, and his oxygen tanks got a subtle metallic sheen before painting his tubes black. I then added that aforementioned forgotten color onto his belt and the zip in the front that I also forgot to add, as well as his leg sphincter exhaust ports. Then, much like the other two, he got a full once-over with a dirty brown wash to muck him up real good, and I started adding the little details like his exposed bone and eyeballs before adding that final touch with blood red blood. I was particularly pleased with the blood pooling on his control panel since a lack of jaw makes swallowing hard. Last but not least, the absolute final step is adding a broken visor to his mask, which I'll make out of this little sheet of plastic packaging. I'll snip some teeny tiny bits of plastic off, then using a dab of CA glue, I'll stick them around the edge of his mask. Otherwise, with the mask in place, that's us done here and onto the glamour shots. As always, a big ol' thank you to the fine folk over on Patreon who keep this channel running, and a special hey how are you to the newest of them: Zoe the Bunny Princess, Princess Consuela Banana Hammock, Violent Fraggle, Ian Eade, Alex Hausman, C. Martin, Nix Hewling, Sir Dr. Homo, Bell, No Nightingales for Crowley, Juniper, Kaysen Radcliffe, Soul Regis, William Standen, No Sue 92, Don Give a Sheet, Ak Hagara, Blatchy Boss, Bean Down Under, Quentin Johnson, Champ Cloaker, Kellen Freeman, Painted Creatures, Plant Brain, AK Beckwith, Chase Seeley, Gray 30, and Alex Jones, but not that one. You are the tiny reanimated toys that cost too much when you were a child and still cost too much now that you're an adult. As always, do the stuff and whatever, I don't know, I'm not your mom. Otherwise, we'll see you next time. Cheers.